Hey everyone, so today in this video I'll be talking about Instagram Basic Display API. I will mainly show you how we can start using Instagram Basic Display API. So let's start. The primary purpose of Instagram Basic Display API is to provide users data. If you have any other requirement other than reading the users data and it's getting the videos and images of a particular Instagram users, then you should think about using Instagram Graph API. Instagram Basic Display API basically provide read access of the data. There is also a limitation with the Instagram display API is that you cannot integrate a display API in any business app. Basic display APIs can only be integrated inside consumers app where you will primarily be fetching the user's information. There are some steps which you will have to follow in order to use the display API. Firstly, your app users have to authorize your app to call Instagram API on their behalf and provide requested permissions. Once your app user authorize your app to call Instagram Basic Display API, you will get an authorization code in response. Then you can exchange that authorization code for Instagram users short-lived access token. And once you get the Instagram users short-lived access token, you can use that access token and call the display API and get successful response. Any of the Instagram display API will need or will use that access token as an authentication as per OAuth 2.0 protocol. The authorization code and the user's access token that you will get both have a validity of 1 hour. But in case you need, you can also exchange this short-lived Instagram users access token with long-lived access token. That long-lived access token's validity is 60 days. So you can exchange that as well. But in this video, I'll not show you how we can do that. If you want to see how to exchange the short-lived access token with a long-lived access token, you can let me know in the comment section and I'll make a video on that particular thing as well. Now let me just show you a demo how we can do all these things and call the APIs. You will also have to create a Facebook client app and set up Instagram Basic Display API in that particular client app. And in order to create a Facebook client app, you will have to log into Facebook developers website. So I've already opened the developers website and I'm even logged in. So this is the main page. Now from here I'll go to the my apps section. So I'll click on it. Now here I'll create an app from scratch and show you how we can what all things we need to do while creating an app. So I'll click on create app. Right now I'm creating a consumer app since display API doesn't support business app. So you can either select consumer or any of the type. So in this particular example, I'm selecting consumer. I'll click next. I'll provide my app name and I'll click create app. Now it will again ask for your authentication, for your developer's account authentication before creating an app. I'll provide my password. So as you can see, our app got created and this is my app name, this is my app ID. So now I'll set up Instagram Basic Display API in my app. So as you can see, this is the Basic Display API. I'll click on setup. I'll scroll to the bottom of the page and click on create new app. In order to implement Instagram Basic Display API, we have to create an Instagram app. So that is what we are doing right now. Initially, we created a Facebook app and now through that Facebook app, we are creating an Instagram app because we are setting up Instagram display API. I'll keep the name as same of my Facebook app as well and I'll simply click on create app. Now once I clicked on create app, there are a few things which I have to provide. We will have to provide some details, like we have to provide the OAuth redirect URL. So for demo purpose, I'm just providing a dummy app URL, but in case you are actually creating your app, you should provide a valid redirect URI of your app. So I provide this URL socialsizzle.heroku.com. This is not created by me. I'm just using it for demonstration purpose. Once the redirect URI is provided, I'll provide the same redirect URI in my deauthorized callback URI. Okay. So the redirect URI is basically being used once your app user authorizes your app to call Instagram display API. This is the website or this is the page on which they will be redirected. So this is what redirect URI tells. Now in the deauthorized section, you also have to provide a URI. So in this particular URI, you will have, let's say some user does not authorize your app to call basic display API. So once they deauthorize, they will be redirected to this particular page. So for demonstration, I'm keeping both the URIs same, but as per your requirement, you can keep it same or different in actual scenario. There is one more section which is data deletion URL, request URL. So this URL is basically being used if some app users wants you to delete their data, so they will ping a particular URL. So this is what the URL will be. So for demonstration, I'll again provide the same URI in all these sections. Now once we have provided all the required URLs, we will have to add some Instagram account as an Instagram tester. Because Instagram client is in dev mode, we will not be able to test this particular thing on any of the actual Instagram account, any public account. So we will have to assign an Instagram tester role to any of the Instagram account, and then that particular account, using that tester role or using that Instagram account only, we will be able to test if everything is working fine or not. So for now, I will send an Instagram tester invitation to my own Instagram account, and then I'll open my Instagram account and accept that invitation of Instagram tester, and then through my Instagram account I'll be able to test. So I'll just click on add, but before that let me just save all the changes that I have already done. So I'll click on save changes. Now once we have saved all the changes, I'll click on add Instagram tester. Now I'll scroll down and I'll click on add Instagram testers. I'll have to search for that for my Instagram account through my username. Okay, so this is my Instagram account. I'll select it and I'll click on submit. If you want to add multiple Instagram testers, you can simply do that. But right now I'm just adding only one tester. I'll click on submit. Now as you can see, we have added an Instagram tester in our Instagram client app, but it is in pending status. So in order to activate it, we will have to log into, that particular Instagram tester has to log in to his Instagram account, and he will have to accept this particular invitation. So now I'll log into my Instagram account. After logging into my Instagram account, I clicked on my profile section and I clicked on edit profile. Now inside this edit profile, I'll go to, there is one apps and website section. I'll click on that, and in this particular apps and website there is one tester invitation. I'll click on that particular tester invitation, and here you can see that this is my Instagram client app that I have just created, iApp test, and there is an option of accept and decline. So as soon as I accept this particular invitation, I will be assigned an Instagram tester role, and then I can test my Instagram client app to this Instagram account. So I'll click on accept. After accepting the invitation, as you can see that now I'm authorized as an Instagram tester for this particular client app. We can also remove it if we do not want this permission to be there. We are doing all these things because since our Instagram client app is still in development mode, we will not be able to test it on any of the public accounts. So that's why we are following this step of adding Instagram tester role to any of the account. And in order to change your app status from development mode to public mode, your app has to go through some app review process, and once your app gets reviewed from their side, then only your app will go live. Okay, so we have an Instagram tester added. Now we will just start calling the APIs. Our Instagram tester, which is actually an Instagram user, will have to authorize our client app to call Instagram display API on their behalf. So we will have to call the authorization API. So this is the authorization API that we can call to get the authorization code. In case you are developing an app, you will have to implement this particular API inside your app's code. Now in this API, I'll have to replace the placeholders. I'll have to provide the client ID, the redirect URL, and the scope. This scope is basically permissions that I will have to get from my Instagram user. So basically there are two permissions, user profile and user media. So user profile permission is basically being used to fetch users information like username and user ID, and user media permission is basically used to fetch users images and videos. So these are the two permissions that I'm keeping as of now in my API call. So basically what I'm doing, I'm asking my Instagram user to provide these permissions to my client app, and then there is a field that is a response type. So in response, I'm expecting a code which will be authorization code. Also you can see that once we accepted the invitation of Instagram tester from our Instagram account, this pending symbol no longer exists. Now we are an active Instagram tester for this particular client app. Now in this particular page itself, you will see that there is one app ID which is shown here, and also I was talking about the development mode. So here only you will see that right now our app is in development mode, and it is also showing here. If you want to switch, there is a live mode, so there is a switch button here. So as soon as I click it, our app will be submitted for review, and it will take some time for our app to get reviewed, and then only it can get into live mode. But right now we cannot do that because we are not actually developing an app. I'm just giving a demonstration, so I'll keep it in development mode itself. Now in our endpoint, we'll have to replace the placeholders. For that we need client ID and redirect URI. So for getting those information, I'll click on Instagram display API. I'll click on basic display. I'll scroll down. So this is my app ID. I'll copy it and paste it in my endpoint. And this is my redirect URI. I'll copy it also and paste the same in my URI. Now our endpoint is ready. I'll simply use my browser to get the response. You can also make a curl request from your terminal. For keeping it simple, I'm just directly calling it from the browser itself. So once we hit that particular endpoint, we got this page. As this page clearly shows that there is an app which is iapp test, and this particular app wants these permissions from me, and this is my username. So I'll click on allow, and then it will actually allow my client app to call Instagram display API on my user's behalf. Once I click on allow, in response I'll get a response authorization code. So in the URL address bar, you can see that there's a code that we got in response. I'll simply copy this particular code and I pasted it here. Now once we got the authorization code, now it's time to exchange this particular authorization code with Instagram access token, user access token. For that, there is an OAuth URI that we will have to vary. So let me just vary it. So this is the URI and these are the params to exchange the authorization code for an access token. So I'll simply replace all the placeholders and then I'll make a curl request from my terminal. I've copied the same client ID from my previous endpoint. Now to get the client secret, we again have to go to our Facebook developers website and get it. So this is the developers website. So here you can see that there is a app secret section. So I'll click on store and I need to provide the password. Now this is my secret. I'll directly copy it and I'll replace it over here. Also in the redirect URI, I'll place the same thing from my previous endpoint. And in the code param, we will have to provide the same code which we got from the previous endpoint call. One thing you will have to notice is that in this particular code, there is one hash and underscore at the end. Let me just show you. As you can see that there is a one hash and underscore at the end. So we do not have to keep these particular things. We will only copy till G. I mean, just before the hash. This hash and underscores are not required. So I'll copy till G and I'll place it here. So our endpoint is done. I'll simply make a curl request from my terminal. I'll copy it and open my terminal. So I made a curl request. Since I'm using Windows, I made a curl request to my PowerShell terminal, and this is what we got in response. So you can see that we got an access token in response, and this is the user ID whose access token we have actually received. Now since we have got the access token, we can directly make the API call, display API. So I'll copy it and now I'll make an API call to me endpoint. This is the endpoint that I will be calling. So what this will return, it will return the ID and username of the particular user whose information we want to vary. So in this particular endpoint, we will have to provide the access token which we have got from the previous step. I'll simply copy it and paste it over here. And since this is a GET request, I can make it from the browser directly. So we varied that particular endpoint and we got the response. A successful response is actually returning the ID, user ID and the username of the user on whose behalf we are calling the API. That's all we have to do to call the Instagram basic display API. I hope you understood what all steps we need to do in order to call the API successfully. In case you have any doubt, you can go through the website, Facebook developers website, and you can find the information. Everything that I have explained in this particular video are present on that particular website. Let me just show you. So this is the Facebook developers website itself, and in this particular section, Instagram basic display API, you will get all the information that I have explained in this video. So in case if you want to explore this on your own, you can go through this website. Every information is provided in this website, and even after going through the information, you are not able to understand something, or if you have some doubt, just let me know in the comment section and I'll try to explain that particular thing in a different video. So that's all for this video. Thank you.